Hi, and welcome back to Point Serve. This is the first podcast of Cross Point Church in Beckley, West Virginia, and we are here to share some things with you. My name is Vondi Cook. I am the lead pastor here at Cross Point, and the fellow behind the camera is Mike Smith. He's the guy that's putting all of this together today, and we are so thankful that you chose to tune in to another episode of Point Serve. And allow me just a quick moment to explain to you about this podcast, because there are all kinds of podcasts that are going on in our world today, but why another one? Why would we look at this? Well, this is to give practical information and steps for followers of Christ who are in positions of leadership, whether you're in the marketplace or you're in a sacred space. It is for you to be able to have some tools to be able to learn, love, work, and lead people with servant leadership characteristics. Point Serve is a part of all of these podcasts on leadership to help you be better at where God has placed you wherever you are leading. And so with that, we're going to jump right in, because we've been talking about servant leadership characteristics and what makes servant leadership a little different than other leadership characteristics around us. And so far, over the last 8 months, we have talked about listening, empathy, healing, awareness, persuasion, conceptualization. Last month, we talked about foresight. And today, we're going to talk about stewardship. And talk about stewardship as far as what it means to be a steward, because a lot of people don't fully grasp what that means, because we have a tendency when it comes to using the word stewardship to only think about dollars. And dollars are a part of it, but they are only a small part. There are other parts of being a steward that are much greater than that. You see, a steward holds things in trust. A steward holds things that are of value to him, to her, to those around them. They hold those things in trust. And by holding that in trust, they hope to make not just the organization better, but the world around them better. They hope to take the influence of their leadership position and to be able to influence to a better degree those things around them. And so being a steward of that is essential for us to recognize how valuable we are where we are. So again, no matter where you lead, whether it's at the top of the pack, in the middle of the pack, or you're just now starting in the pack where you are working, you need to understand how valuable what you steward in that organization truly is. Because as a leader, one of the things that we forget about when it comes to stewardship is that we are stewarding the potential of the people that are around us. And when you and I steward that potential around us, we realize that with servant leadership, this is one of the few things that makes it very different from other types of leadership. Other types of leadership talk about stewarding the organization and moving forward with that, and they will touch a little bit on the individuals who are a part of it. But as a servant leader, you understand that followers' potential you are a steward of, making sure that you can find where they are best suited for your organization, where they fit the best, where they have the giftedness to be able to walk in a real positive light within the organization. I'll give you an example. Here at Cross Point Beckley, we have a young man by the name of Justin Davis. Justin is our administrator here at Cross Point. And Justin is so good at making sure that the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and we work very hard here at Crosspoint, myself and other staff, to help keep Justin in that place where he really fits. When you look at our satellite campus in Barbersville, we have a gal there by the name of Tracy. Tracy is gifted in music. Tracy is amazingly gifted in music. And so when it comes to what she does in that place, we work hard to make sure that Tracy can be in that zone, in that niche where she fits and where she is blessed so much to be. And each and every one of us need to find that. But as a leader, as a servant leader, one of your key goals is to find those places in the people that you lead and help them to be the very best that they can be with that. A leader realizes that their work is ultimately not about the leader themselves. It's about making sure that the people around them have the resources that they need in order to get their job done. Because as a servant leader, if I can put my needs aside and get to the place to where I am supporting and resourcing those leaders around me, if I get to that place of understanding that they have exactly what they need in order to move forward with that, it helps them and it ultimately helps the organization because, again, a servant leader chooses to serve others first and then they get their needs met. Being a good steward of one's self helps us understand that concept of valuing others ahead of ourselves. Because if I'm not secure in who I am, if I don't believe in who I am and where I serve and what I do, I will not be able to invest in the people around me, in the leaders around me, in the ones that are working side by side with me. And what ultimately happens in that scenario is if I don't value them, they'll know that. They will understand that they are not valued and that they are not able to step up and lead as good as they potentially could. You see, a servant leader is different in the fact that they invest that much time in others. And so with that, when I invest in them and do our very best as a key leader to resource them, then they can strive to be the best they are, and they can thrive in that environment. You see, a steward is one that doesn't allow an entitlement mentality to take over. We live in a culture that is filled with entitlement. Everybody thinks everybody owes them something. I won't say everybody. We'll say a lot of bodies think that people owe them everything. Servant leadership smacks entitlement right face to face. Servant leader says we're not to be people who are entitled. We are to be people who understand our role and the value of others around us. But again, servant leadership is the only form of leadership that does this. But there's something that's required for a servant leader to have and possess that other types of leadership don't talk about. Jesus did. He said, if you want to be first, you got to learn to be last. And that creates a humble spirit in us, creates a humility in us. Now, I want you to know that humility never equals weakness. Honestly, it's just the exact opposite. A humble leader is one who doesn't have to force their way through. A humble leader is one that doesn't have to have the forefront. I remember a fellow by the name of Dr. Bill Bright who started Campus Crusade. Bill Bright is probably in the 20th century responsible for leading more people to Jesus Christ than even Billy Graham. Yet one thing about Dr. Bright, I heard a pastor one time at a conference share that when they went to, it was a place in Africa, and they had dormitory-style places to sleep, and there were bunk beds. And when guys get a little bit of age on them, they kind of like the lower bunk. They don't like to climb up to the top. And Dr. Bright went to get in the bed a little earlier than the other guys turned in. And when they went into the room, he was on the top bunk in the furthest corner of the room. He was a man who changed the world. Yet he was a man who had humility. As a leader, whether you are leading Campus Crusade or you are leading your local grocery store or your mom and pop shop, whatever it may be, understand a servant leader recognizes humility and values that. And I can guarantee you the people around you will value it as well. They will appreciate that inside of you. Because again, humility requires you to put your needs behind somebody else. And that's really what a steward is. A steward begins to look and see exactly what's there. And this type of leadership is not for the faint of heart. It's not for those who think they can lead and just run with it. No, this type of leadership requires a whole lot of, as my grandfather used to say, intestinal fortitude. You had to have the guts to get it done. And a servant leader is one who, again, does not require you to be a person that's out front all the time. A servant leader says, let's put the greatest person out there who has the giftedness to get that done. And if that's me, that's fine. And if that's not me, that's fine as well. But that also brings us to another concept that stewardship brings into play, and that's ethics. Ethics. And ethics within our culture in the United States, I think that the best way to talk about our character and the ethics and who we are is, character is doing the right thing. Ethics is doing the right thing when nobody's looking, when nobody's watching, that you are doing what you know that you should do. You can teach all kinds of people all kinds of things. You can teach them tasks. You can teach them programs. You can teach them how to inventory. You can teach them product. You can teach them all kinds of things. But the one thing you cannot teach someone is how to be ethical if they're not. Because an unethical person will make sure that they're able to cheat, they're able to steal, they're able to pull things away. And a lot of leaders get caught doing those things. A lot of leaders get caught doing things that they shouldn't. But a servant leader understands that ethical behavior is essential to being a person that allows others to be first, that allows the needs of the organization sometimes to supersede yours, that allows you to pour into other people, to resource them maybe before you get the resources that you need in order to pour into them. Hopefully today, you'll look at stewardship just a little bit differently. Hopefully today, you'll be able to ask yourself some questions. How am I stewarding where I lead? How am I looking at that? What am I doing with that? Thank you for tuning in to Point Serve today. Again, this is the first podcast of Cross Point Church in Beckley, West Virginia. If you'd like to check us out, you can jump on our website at beckleycrosspoint.org. You can go to our Facebook page, Beckley Crosspoint. You can go to our Twitter account. You can go to our Instagram. You can go to all the other things that we have out there. You can be a part of that to see exactly what God is doing here at Crosspoint, because we believe that as we pour in and invest in others, and we're good stewards of what we have, amazing things can happen. Thank you for being a part of Point Serve today. God bless you.